Vayishlach. And here Yaakov is maturing, and we're getting to really probably the beginning of the central part of his life. It begins by telling us of Yaakov's return now. He's going to go back to the homeland, and he's going to meet his brother. So it says that he's afraid of meeting his brother. His last thing he heard from his mother is that his brother wants to kill him. And yet he knows he's going to have to meet him, so he wants to try to find a way to appease him so that when he does meet him, they don't have a fight, because Yaakov's afraid he'd lose the fight, because Esau clearly is in control of the world. He's control of the physical world, and he's much, would be more powerful, and Yaakov would have to rely on miracles. Now, this is an aside. While we go through this, one thing to keep in mind is the Gemara says that in the days of the Mishnah, the rabbis used to read this parsha before they would meet with the Roman Caesars. Now, if the Romans would call them in to meet with them for a political discussion or for some type of détente, so in order for them to understand the mind of the Romans, they would read this parsha, because Esau is the father of Rome. It says Esau is the father of Edom. Edom is Rome, right? Even they acknowledge that that's Rome and the Romans, and therefore the rabbis felt that if you read this parsha and you see what did he do to deal with Esau, will tell us how it's a sign to us how we're going to deal with the government that is antagonistic to us. And so later on, the Romans, of course, were pretty antagonistic to the Jews, and so the rabbis would study this parsha to come up with how to act. And you'll notice that Yaakov does a number of tactics. They don't appear as tactics because it's like a man talking to his brother, but you'll notice he'll bribe him, and he'll try to appease him. He'll flatter him. He'll do all types of things that you'll notice that are part of what a diplomat does. Part of diplomacy is, right? They gives him a gift, you see, and he'll flatter him about how great he is and how powerful he is, and he'll tell him all kinds of what do they call it in diplomacy? Misinformation. So you'll see as the parsha goes on, and so it begins. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav. It says that Yaakov sent malachim. We'll have to explain what that means. Before him, El Esav Achiv, Artsa Sayir Sadeh Edom. So it says that Yaakov sent someone to ahead of him, sort of like a scouting team, to go check up on his brother Esau, who was in the land of Sa'ir, in the area of Edom. Now, the simple understanding is that he sent spies, messengers. He sent people to go chart out. Excuse me, what am I in for? Last time I heard, Esau wants to kill me, right? Esau and I are going to meet now. You go ahead and find out what's happening, what's in his head, what's he planning to do, and then come back and tell me so that I'm ready for him. So the simple explanation is that he sent like spies, and that's how most of the translations say it. But according to Rashi begins the first one. He says Vayishlach Yaakov malachim, that Yaakov sent malachim mamish. He sent angels. That Yaakov sent angels, and that's already an odd thing, right? Because there are a number of levels. First thing is, why would he send an angel, right? Which means that it's miraculous. And we have a rule that the people of this stature have the ability to ask Hashem to do miracles for them, to do things that are not according to nature. However, at the same time, you don't want to do it if you don't have to. You don't, because every time you call in a miracle, you call on God to do something for you, you're using your merit, right? You're using whatever favors, so to speak, that God's going to give you. It's finite. So yeah, every time you do that, it costs you, so to speak, right? So Yaakov would not send real angels if he didn't have to. He would send people. So, and it seems that what his goal is that it's a military act. So what does he need angels for? So Rashi says, no, they were really angels, and it says that why is that he went and did that? There's numerous different answers for it, but one of them, the interesting questions that comes up, he sent angels, and the angels go to meet Esau. Right? How could that be? Here Esau is this evil person right? Who clearly, if an evil person is not going to believe in God like we believe in God, because you know you're going to get punished for what you do, so then you must have a flaw in your belief. So then what does he do when he meets an angel? Like an angel comes face to face with him, right? What does he do? Right? And we have numerous occasions where this could happen. And it teaches us that Asaph actually did believe. He actually, it wasn't like he didn't believe in God. He didn't believe in all these things. He believed that what he was doing was right, and that this was the way you're supposed to do things. He happens to be incorrect, but that's the way he saw it. Originally, the idea was that Yaakov and Esau should be partners. That was the whole idea of creating them as twins, and that Yitzchak and Rivka, their parents, saw them as partners. That Yaakov was sort of the spiritual one, Esau was the physical one. Together you had an individual who was both spiritual and physical, who could conquer the world for spiritual purposes. It's one thing if you have somebody like a fascist like Hitler who wants to conquer the world would be a terrible place. But what if you had somebody who wanted to conquer the world, but he would make the world a wonderful place? He would conquer the world, get rid of all the dictators, get rid of all of the the bigotry and racism, make the world wonderful. Because it would be perfect, right? So to have a combination of Yaakov and Esau together would do that. The problem was that even though it says right in the beginning of the parsha before that Esau is the prophecy told Rivka that Esau will be firstborn, but he will be subservient to his younger brother Yaakov, which is what he has to do in order for this partnership to work. Esau was not prepared to do that. He was not going to be subservient to Yaakov, and you'll see when they meet that he has no intention of this at all. So he sends them out, and it tells you where they're going. He goes to the land of Sa'ir, right? And so for that it says, Vayisav osam, and he commands the angels, Lemor, the following, Ko tamrun le'adoni le'esav, say the following to my master Esav, Ko amar avdecha Yaakov, this is what your servant Yaakov says. So already we see that he's telling them to address Esav as his superior, right? He's playing him, right? But he's doing it in a way, he's using his ego. He's saying, go tell my master Esav that your servant Yaakov says the following. He says, Im Lavan Ga'arti, I lived with Lavan, V'acher ad ata, right? And I stayed there until this time. So that's the beginning of his statement. So what does that mean? The Yaakov says, I lived with Lavan. So if we're taking it at face value, he's simply telling him where he's been all this time. Because Yaakov disappeared. He left home because he was afraid, his mother was afraid that Esau was going to kill him. And she wanted him to go and start his life and get married. So she sends him to her family, Rivka's family. And Lavan was her brother. So she sends him there. And so he's telling Esau where he was. I was with Lavan. But the commentaries tell us that it's actually deeper. It says, when he says that Yaakov is saying, I lived with Lavan. And when it says the word Ga'arti, which means I lived with, the numeric value of that word is 613, which corresponds to the same number as the commandments, right, for Jews in the Torah. And here it says that what he's saying to him is, I lived with Lavan, who was a fraud. Right? He used to try to trick him all the time, and he was like a confidence man, they would say. Right? He's Lavan they called him Lavan because he would smile at you with his white teeth and stab you in the back. Right? That's the kind of person he was. So he says, I lived with Lavan, and Lavan did all these tricks to him. Every time Yaakov would work with him, he would switch the daughters on him, and then he worked for 7 years to marry Rachel. He switches her, he marries Leah, he works 7 more years. Then he says, look, I'm working extra years, I want you to pay me. So he says, sure. And he says, just pay me, give any time that we have a sheep that's born that's spotted, I'll take that, and any other sheep that's born is yours. Next thing, Hashem makes all the sheep born spotted. So Lavan keeps changing the deal. Oh no, I'll take the spotted ones, you take the plain ones. So Hashem switches it. And he switches it back, and it's right back. Lavan tries to trick him all the time. So in one sense, Yaakov is saying to Esau, I lived with Lavan, who was out to hurt me, to destroy us, to take away everything that I stood for, to trick me. And nevertheless, I still Garti. I still kept the entire Torah. In other words, I stayed loyal to God. That no matter what happened to me, I still say this. So if you think, Esau, that your brute force is going to cause me to give in, I want you to know that Lavan already started up with me, and I already won that one. Right? So in one sense, he's making a challenge to Esau. Right? First, he comes in. The first thing he does is he shows Esau is superior. He tells Esau, he plays on Esau's ego. Look, Esau, this is your world. You're superior to me. You're stronger than me. You have more people than me. Right? I'm your servant. Why would you want to kill me? I'm here for you. Then the next tact he takes is he says to him, don't think that you can just destroy me. You know, I've had tough guys against me also. Lavan, I lived with him. He didn't get anywhere with me. Right, so now he has a different tact. So he's going through all different things, and the rabbis are noticing this. So he says, then it says, Vayili shor v'chomor etzon ve'eved shivcha v'yashlach lahagid li'adon limsochim v'enecha. And then he says, right, that I have all types of animals, a lot of livestock, I have servants, I have female servants, and I'm sending them to you, a gift, to find favor in your eyes, right, to make you happy. In other words, he's sending him a gift, bribing him. So first he builds them up, and then he shows them you don't start up with me, and then he bribes them. Right? It's three different things. He's giving them a gift. Right? The Yishua Amlachim El Yaakov, and so the angels come back to Yaakov after doing this. Lemor, and they say, Banu El Achicha, we went to see your brother El Esaf to Esaf. Now this is also a problem. We know Esaf is his brother, so why did they say we went to see your brother Esaf? Right? Both. This is El Achicha, to your brother, to Esaf. He only has one brother, right? And it's Esaf. And so why did they use both of those words? Then it says, V'gam holech lekarasicha le'arba abos ish imo. And Esaf is coming to see you. And he's bringing 400 men with him. So they're telling him, better be careful. He's ready for bear, right? He's bringing his big guns with him. Esaf is coming with 400 guys. So why does it say to Esaf, to your brother? You'll see this expression used only by Esaf and more than once. Because to Yaakov, Esaf played two roles. He was Esaf and he was his brother. Sometimes Esaf couldn't control himself, and his love and affection for family would come out, and he would treat Yaakov well. And you'll see it when they meet. And sometimes he would be Esaf, whose job was, in his eyes, to rule the world, and therefore Yaakov would have to give in. So sometimes they went to see Esaf, the tough guy, the military man, and we went to see your brother, same person, but they're showing you he's not a simple person. He's a complicated personality, and he's got both within him, right? And we want you to know he's gunning for bear. He's bringing 400 guys with him. Right, so what happens with Yaakov? Yaakov hears this. Vayira Yaakov becomes very frightened. V'yatzerlo, right, and it troubles him. V'yitzerlo v'yichatz es ha'am v'yito v'yitz hasonos v'bakar v'gamalin v'shnei malachanos. So what does he do? Now this is the next military tactic, is he splits his people into two camps. He's got animals, he's got servants, he's got maidservants, he's got wives, he's got children. And now he knows Esau's going to come fight with him. So he decides that here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to split my family and my people into two groups. And this way, if he attacks one, the other one will get away. And if he attacks the other, the first one will get away. Right? V'yomer im yavo Esau el machane, and he says, if Esau comes to one camp, ha'echas, v'yiku, and he strikes it, v'haya machane hanishar lepleta, and the other one will be left behind. And Yaakov says, Elokei Avi Abraham, Elokei Avi Yitzchak. Right? My God, God of my grandfather Abraham, of my father Yitzchak, Ha'omer Alai Shuv Artzecha Umulatecha V'yativa Imach. And he says, God said to him, go back to your land, go back to your family, and everything will be good for you. Right? In other words, now Yaakov is saying, I have to do this. God told me to go back. Right? And he said everything will be good. But just in case, as in English it says, I have been diminished by all the kindness and by all the truth that you have done your servant, for with my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I've become two camps. He's now talking to God. Right, God, you said I should go back and everything will be fine, so I want you to know, right, because you're so kind to me and you do all these miracles for me, I feel humbled by you, He said, and I have split my people into 2 camps, so that if Esau comes, it won't be a problem. And then he says that you should help me. Rescue me, please, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. And here you see the same expression again. Help me from my brother and from Esau. In this case, the commentaries say that there's 2 ways that Esau attacks the Jews. And we see this in history. If we would want to draw a correlation between Esau and the Romans, or the early Christian world, which was Roman, you'd say that he knows he's going to be attacked by the hand of his brother. What is his brother going to do? His brother wants to kill him. He's going to kill him with love, like a brother would kill you. In other words, he's going to love him to death. That is to say, he'll convert him, right? Like today, when you meet a missionary, what does a missionary do? He tries to convert you. He wants to love you to death. Oh, I love the Jews. We love all of the Jews. We come from the Jews. You know, our God was Jewish. We do everything to be Jewish. And you know, all we want to do is fulfill you. We're not going to take you away from the religion. We want to make you fulfilled. The Messiah has come. So they go and they try to be like your brother. I'm your brother, right? And so come over with us. That doesn't work, then I'm Esau. Now we're going to go to war. Either you're with me or you're against me. This was exactly what happened, right, in history, where you had like the Greeks. The Greeks came to us and they said, we want, this is a story of Hanukkah, we've taken over the whole world. And the Greeks did that. They took over the whole known world, every country. And what they said to each country is, you are now citizens of Greece. You have to pay taxes to Greece, and you have to practice Greek culture. And Greek culture is better than your culture, and it's good for you. We're doing this for you. And they went to the Jews, and they told the Jews, you got to pay taxes to the Greeks, and you got to practice Greek culture. And they said, forget it. We're not doing that. We're Jews. We're going to stay Jewish. Right? And that's why they went to war. And the Greeks fought us. They didn't fight us because they wanted to kill us. You can't get taxes from a dead person. They fought us because we wouldn't do what they wanted. We wouldn't convert. Right? So here you see, this is Esau will come to us like the brother, or he'll come to us like Esau. That's why he uses both words here. Right? It says, and for I fear that if Esau comes and he strikes me down, mother and children, right, then he'll only take one group, not the other group. And you said, I'll surely do good with you, and I'll make your offspring like the sand of the sea, which is too numerous to count. So I'm reminding you, God, you promised me everything will be good. And I'm doing my part. Right? Yaakov is not relying totally on God and saying, okay, God, I'm just going to walk into this with all of my little kids, and you're going to make us fine. You're going to do all these miracles. No, Yaakov's saying, I'm going to use military tactics. I'm going to bribe him. I'm going to flatter him. I'm going to challenge him. I'm going to hide from him. I'm going to split up my people into 2 different groups. Right? But I know you're going to take care of us, God. I'm just doing my part. And this is an important lesson in general, that God promises us many things, but he expects us to do our part. It's not enough for us to simply rely on him. Now, if God promises that there'll always be Jews, and God promises if you do mitzvahs, right, I will help you have a better life so you can do more mitzvahs, and then suddenly things get bad, right? If that happens, or suddenly things get bad in our life, we have to make an effort to fix it. In the physical world, you have to do things. You have to invest your money. You have to get up and go to work. You have to go to the doctor if you're sick. You have to do your part. Even though ultimately God will cure you, ultimately God will help us, but he will only help us if we put in the effort. We have to try. We have to do it first. God, they have that corny statement, God helps those who help themselves. That's the idea. It's called hishtadlus, making an effort. We have to make the effort, and then God will finish the effort. Right? When we go to work, we think our going to work, I'm going to make money. Really what it is going to work is we're making the effort. Now God will give us money. That's the way we see it. Right? And so then it says that Yaakov spent the night there, right? And he took from what he came in his hand a tribute to Esau, his brother. So then from all of the things he owned that night, he prepared a gift for Esau. Right? What did he give him? 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 sheep, female, and 20 male, 30 nursing camels with their children, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, 10 male donkeys. He put in his servants' charge, each drove separately, and said to his servants, pass on ahead of me and leave a space between drove and drove. So he's telling his servants, you take these wagons with all of these gifts, separate yourselves, go one at a time, right? One gives, and the next one will come and give, right? Go and give to Esau. So it looks like it's an enormous gift. Now, it's a pretty big gift as it is, but it's going to be one after another, all right? And leave space between each of you and between you and me. Then he says the first one, when my brother meets you and he says, whose are you, where are you going, and whose are these, right? He sees all this stuff, right? He's going to ask, what is all this? So you should tell him, your servant Jacob's. He owns all this. It's a tribute. He's a gift for you, my lord, to Esau. And behold, he himself is behind us, and Yaakov is coming. Right? So this is, Esau is going to ask you. So Yaakov says, tell him. He says, everything is mine that's here, and it's for you. I'm giving you a gift. Just before I come, I want you to know how much I'm looking forward to seeing you. So I'm giving you this gift, and I'm right behind the gift. I'm coming after the gift. So he said the same to the second and the third, as well as the following the droves. In the manner shall you speak to Esau when you find him, and you shall say, right, moreover, behold, your servant is behind, Jacob is behind us. I will appease him with the tribute that precedes me, and afterwards I'll face him. And perhaps if I give him all of these gifts before he sees me, and he sees me right away after he gets the gifts, he'll forgive me for what he feels is that I stole everything from him, and he wants to kill me. So the tribute passed on before him while he spent the night in the camp. So all of the gifts went out, and Yaakov is in the camp. Now this is where it gets a bit different. It says, he got up in the night, he took his 2 wives, his 2 handmaids, and his 11 sons, and he crossed the ford of the Jabbok. So he says that he took, right, from his wives and much of his family, and he put them on the other side of the river. Right, there's a river, and he went the other side. And when he took them and he had them cross over the stream, he sent over his possessions. So he went from having 2 separate camps to now taking all the camps and sending them to the other side of the river. Because when Esau finally comes, right, he's going to show up with 400 men. He's not going to be able to get my family and kill them because they're on the other side of the river. He's going to have to cross the river to get them. So he's just going to see me. I'm going to be here. Right? Jacob was left alone. So Yaakov is alone. And there's the famous story. Here Yaakov's left alone. It's the middle of the night. And a man shows up and wrestles with him until the break of dawn. So you can imagine Yaakov's all by himself in this desolate area. And his family on the other side of the river. He's waiting, right, till the morning so he could go follow these people to go meet his brother. And suddenly there's a man there. And the man wrestles with him. And he doesn't mean wrestling like in a game. It means wrestling to kill him. Right? And he wrestles until the break of dawn, all night. When he perceived that he couldn't overcome him, right, when the angel saw that he couldn't win, he struck the socket of Jacob's hip. He hit him in the sciatic nerve. Right? So Jacob's hip socket, it says the hip socket, right, was dislocated as he wrestles with him. And then he says, let me go, for dawn has broken. Now let's just stop there. So here Yaakov and this angel are fighting all night. Yaakov, in the end, as it gets to be light, is winning. He's beating him. So the angel plays dirty. And he hits him, it says in his hip and his sciatic nerve. The commentaries tell us that that it's also in his organ for procreation, in order to, as a way of symbolizing that in the future, when the time comes, where there will be some of your children who will rebel against you, and they'll join me. And in other words, by hitting him there, that's what he does. He injures him. And everything that happens with Yaakov and Yitzchak and Abraham is a message to us. It's a future. It's telling us the future. In the future, there will be Jews who leave Judaism and become enemies of the Jews. And you had that. You had during the Inquisition. You had that. You had it during the Holocaust. You had Jews who left Judaism and became some of the biggest enemies of the Jewish people. And he says that came from this. This is the sign of it. This is the prophecy. So even though Yaakov is winning, so finally he does that last sort of dirty trick, and then he says, you have to let me go because it's daytime now. I can only fight with you at night. And he says, I'm not going to let you go, Yaakov tells the angel, unless you bless me. So the angel says to Yaakov, what's your name? So he says, Yaakov. So he says, no longer will it be said that your name is Yaakov, but Yisroel. For you have wrestled with the divine and with man, and you have won. Right? So he says, So it's a very strange thing, and it gets even stranger, and then I'll explain it all. He says, then Yaakov says to him, tell me, please, what's your name? And he says, the angel says back, what do you care what my name is? And he blesses him. Right? And that ends that part of the story. So what's going on? So I told you much of it, right, what's going on. But in one way, this is symbolic of the struggle between the Jews and the rest of the world until the dawn breaks, until Mashiach comes. That throughout the long, dark dispersion that we're in for 2,000 years, where we're all over the world, we will be struggling with the world to try to bring it to a spiritual end, that it should be positive, that the world should follow God. And sometimes we're successful, and sometimes we fail, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes not. And that's what a wrestling match is, right? You're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth the whole time. And that's what's going on here between Yaakov and this man who shows up. This man turns out, of course, to be an angel, and not just an angel. It's the angel of Esau. That every nation has a governing angel, except for the Jewish people. We don't have one. We have God himself. But every nation has a governing angel. This is the governing angel of Esau, who comes down to wrestle with Jacob, symbolizing the ongoing thousands of years of struggle between the Jews and the rest of the world, and that the rest of the world will sometimes injure us, but in the long run, we will succeed. And so now that he asks Yaakov his name, right, so he changes his name. Now this is the first name that is changed in the Torah that's not a total change. When Avram's name is changed from Avram to Avraham, you never call Avraham Avram again. When Sarah's name is changed from Sarai to Sarah, you never call her Sarai again. Right? You have Yoshua's name is changed from Hosea to Yoshua, you never call him by his other name, only Yoshua. But Yaakov, when his name is called, he's called Yisrael, sometimes he's called Yisrael, and sometimes he's called Yaakov throughout history. In the rest of the book, he's called. Now, what you'll notice is that he's referred to as Yisrael when he is the father of the Jewish people, that he is the founder of the Jewish nation, right? Because everyone comes from him. He is referred to as Yaakov when he is the father of his sons. When he's a human father, they call him Yaakov. From this point on, when we're referring to him as the great founder of the Jewish nation, he's referred to as Yisrael, which is why we're called sometimes the children of Yaakov, but usually Israel. That's what we're referred to. That's where it comes from. So he tells Yaakov that's going to be your name. Why? Because you've striven with the divine and with man. What he means is you wrestled me. I'm divine. I'm an angel, right? And you wrestled with man, and you've won. That is to say, over the 2,000 years of dispersion that the Jews will go through in history, you're going to win, you're going to lose, you're going to struggle, it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, in the end you're going to win. And in the end the sun will rise. That's what he says. It's right, its dawn is broken. So then Yaakov asks him, what's your name? What does it mean to ask someone their name? So to ask someone in general what their name is you want to know the essence of a person. See, in Hebrew, it's different than any other language. Any language, it's pretty much arbitrary what something means. The fact that this is called a watch could easily have been called, let's say, a German Shepherd. But we call it a watch. The fact that a German Shepherd is a dog has absolutely the word itself has nothing to do with the animal. It's just a word we use. We could use any word and say that's what it means. Right? It's a language. But in Hebrew, a word is a description of the object. So when we, for instance, I'll give you an example. Kelev is dog, since I was talking about dogs, right? So what is Kelev? The Hebrew word Kelev is kelev, like your heart. Is a dog loyal? Is a dog affectionate? Yeah, so like your heart. If it was an animal that was like your heart, you would say a dog, right? You wouldn't say a cat, right? And every name for every animal, when Adam gave him the names, describes the essence of the animal. And I've actually seen there's books that they go through all different things and it describes it. This also says that when a parent has a child, then the parents receive a certain amount of prophecy to see into the soul of that child when he's born or she's born, to name them. That's why you'll see, and I've seen this so many times, people will call me up and they're about to have a baby, or they had a baby and they want to name the baby and they want to go through names with me. Right? They'll call me up and go through names to try to pick what name they want, and that's fine. Right? Right? And after it's over, they won't use any of them. Like they'll name the baby, like we'll figure out, okay, you're going to name him Shlomo. And then they name him Moshe. Like I'll say to them, like, what happened? Well, after he was born, we looked at him, we said, this kid's a Moshe, he's not a Shlomo. So I said, but it was your father's name. I know, but and that's exactly what the Talmud tells us, that God gives a certain amount of prophecy to the parents to look into the soul of the child without even realizing that's what they're doing, and to name the child for the character of the child, what that child's going to be like. Not what they want him necessarily to be like, what he will be like is describing him. So here also, Yaakov is asking the name of the angel. And he wants to know the essence of this angel. Because if I know the essence of this angel who my offspring are going to struggle with for 2,000 years, I'm going to have the upper hand. Because if you tell me your name, I'm going to know what is your kryptonite, like what's going to affect you, what's bad for you. I'm going to know, because I'm going to know who you are. I'm going to know the essence of who you are. So he says to the angel, so what's your name? So what does the angel say? Why do you ask me my name? And he blesses him, and it's over. Right? So some of the commentaries say he doesn't tell him because of what I said. Others tell you that that's his name. His name is, why are you asking my name? And what does that mean? It means is that Yaakov is trying to find out what his weak spot is, so his children can disclose to his children forever, how do you fight against this? When we go through history, he wants to give us an upper hand, right? He wants to give us a secret, a special secret. The angel says, okay, fine. You know what my name is? My name is whatever it is that's coming up against you. That's who I am. In one generation, I'm communism. In another generation, I'm socialism. In another generation, I'm Christianity. In another generation, I'm liberalism. And another one, I'm materialism. Whatever it is of that generation that becomes the big thing, that's me. And I'm going to take some of your people away from you, and they're going to follow me. They're going to become communists. They're going to become socialists. They're going to become Christians. They're going to become Muslims. Whatever it is, that's me. I don't have one name. I change my name every generation. What was a struggle, let's say before World War I, the Jews were in Europe, a lot of Jews were very poor. People starved to death. It wasn't like here. People starved to death. And a lot of people started looking for answers. They said, if I'm Jewish and God promised us that we're going to have a good life and my family are starving to death, I'm going to become a communist because everybody's the same. Everybody has food. I want to change the world. I'm going to go out and fight for communism. Right? It's a good thing. In my eyes, I'm going to feed my family. My parents are starving to death. Right? So I'm going to go out and change it. I'm going to be a socialist or communist, whatever it is. At this time, it was communism was starting. So they would say that's what it was. That's who he is. Right? He went and he sets it up so that the Jews would leave Judaism. Right? That's his idea. I am whatever your struggle is. Today, nobody is leaving Judaism to become a communist. It doesn't happen today. Right? It's not today's fight. We have a different fight today. Right? Today we've got pornography is a fight. We've got the me generation is a fight. Not thinking is a fight. We have different things. Every generation have different struggles that affected those generations, and that's his answer. What do you want to know my name for? Because my name changes. It's not the same. Right now, this is my name. Next generation, my name's going to change to socialism, and then I'm going to change to communism, and then I'm going to change to this or this or this or this. And in every generation, you're going to have to figure out who your enemy is, and you'll have to stand up to him. But I'm not going to come to everybody the same. Every time I'm going to be different, and that's what we see, right? I mean, when I was, let's say, 18 years old, the challenges I had in life were not the challenges my mother had. At 18 years old, my mother just walked out of the war. Very different life, and it was only 20 years earlier. It was a total change in society and what happened, what was going on in the world. And when my father was a kid, you couldn't wear a yarmulke in the street because people would yell at you and say things to you. When I grew up, you could do it. You could wear a yarmulke if you wanted. Nobody cared. Nobody bothered you. If they did, they'd go to jail. I mean, in Germany in 1920, when a non-Jew saw a rabbi walking down the street, they'd stop, take off their hat, bow down, and say, and speak nicely and properly to them. Hello, rabbis, nice to meet you. They were very civil. 15 years later, they killed him. Right? Society changes. That's what he's saying here. What do you want to know my name for? I'm not going to be the same anyways. After he gives him the answer, he blesses him. So if you want to say he doesn't answer him, then he doesn't answer him. His name is, I'm not going to tell you. Or are you saying, this is my name? Now you know the answer. Now he blesses him, and it's over. So Jacob called the name of this place Peniel. Why? Right, from Punim. I've seen the face of God, face to face, and I was spared. Then it says, the sun rose from him as he went from Penuel. Suddenly the name of the place changes, right? It's Peniel, now it's Penuel. Oh. Right? And the commentaries talk about that. Rashi says, let's see. No, he doesn't. But some of the commentaries talk about the change in the name, that it's not just grammar, that it has to do with the intervention between him and God. Peniel is my face and God. Penuel is its face and God. Right? Punim is face. So and it says the sun rose for him, and he was limping on his hip. Why? Because it said before that the angel hit him in the hip. So I told you that some people say it's a sciatic nerve. Others say that it was actually in his reproductive organs, right, as a way of saying that some of your children are going to be your enemy. I got them. I didn't wipe you out, but I got some of your kids. That's what he's saying. But he's limping. So here is where we actually get one of our first mitzvahs in the Torah, not the only one, but one of the first. And it says, therefore the children of Israel are not to eat the displaced sinui on the hip socket to this day, because he struck Jacob's hip socket on the displaced sinui. This is why today we don't eat the backside of a cow. Right? We don't eat what's called the gid anosha, which in English is the sciatic nerve. On a human being, it's about that big. It's that thick. Right, it goes down your leg. Sometimes you get pain in it. It's the largest nerve in a human body. In a cow, you could imagine it's that much bigger. And because it has all types of veins and things coming off it, it's very hard to take out. And the Ashkenazim do not have a tradition anymore. We've lost the tradition of how do you take that out of the backside of the animal. Because if you take it out, you can eat the rest of it. You just can't eat that one piece. We don't know how. There is a tradition among Sephardim that they do know how. So you will find Sephardic restaurants in certain cities, like in Montreal, that will serve parts of the animal that you'll never get here, because this is basically an Ashkenazi city. And Ashkenazim shouldn't eat it, because we don't have a tradition that it's okay. But Sephardim are 100% allowed to, because they have a tradition that it is. Different customs. So that's what it's talking about. That's why today you don't get like T-bone steaks, right? Because those comes from that part of the animal. We don't eat it. It happens to be that it's just much more economical for the slaughterhouses to just cut off the back of the animal and ship it off to the non-kosher ones than it is for them to try to figure out what piece they can take and what not. But there is some we can have. It's just that one part you can't. And that's where it comes from. So it's a mitzvah till this day. Whenever the Torah uses the expression till this day, it means forever, because whatever day you read it is this day. You're not allowed to eat that part of an animal. Right? So that ends that story. Now this story, as odd as it seems, is a very important prophecy in Jewish tradition, because it tells us about the entire future of the Jewish people going through the long dark night of the dispersion of the galut, of being sent out, right, and having to live among the nations, and all of the the pogroms and the Holocaust and all the things that are going to happen to us in this long dark night. But in the end, the sun will rise for us. That's what it's telling us here. So now that ends, and now Jacob now knows to some extent what's going to happen. Right? He's got a pretty good idea. So Jacob raises his eyes, it's daytime, and he sees Esau is coming, and he's got 400 men with him. So now Yaakov gets his family, he splits them up. He has Leah and Rachel and 2 handmaids in one group. He put the handmaids and their children first, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. And he himself went in the front. It says he bows down 7 times until he reaches his brother. Okay, so here he sets up his family. Now you want to, maybe some people want to say that he put Rachel and her children in the front. I mean Leah and her children in the front because he didn't love them. He didn't care for Leah. That's not true, though. There's a whole explanation as to that she had actually more merit from God, because she had been treated, not as well. Leah was the first wife, and he didn't want to marry her, and she knew it. Nevertheless, she marries him, and she was always felt like the second wife, right? Not the primary wife. And she wasn't his bashert, his chosen one by God. Rachel was, but she was his wife, and he treated her fine. It's just that she felt that. So people say that's why he put her in the front. She's like cannon fodder. Like, she'll get killed and nobody will care. But it says that it's actually the opposite. She was in the front because she had such a difficult life that God owed her, so that she would have enough merit that in case Esau would attack, she would be in the front and he wouldn't be able to get past her, because of her merit from God. Because if it wasn't for miracles, they're not going to win. I mean, 400 armed men against 12 children, a bunch of women, and Yaakov, there's not much of a fight there. So it says now that goes on. Now Esau runs towards him, so he doesn't know what's going to happen, but he runs towards him. He embraces him, he falls on his neck and he kisses him, and they weep. So here now we meet Esau the brother. Esau the brother is glad to see his brother Jacob. Right? The commentaries say that Esau, right, the evil one, is also there, and it says that when he uses the expression that he kisses him, if you look in the Hebrew on page 176, the last line, the second to last word, you'll notice something odd about that word. You see the word there? The bottom, the last line, it's got dots over every letter. Yeah. Right? It's in the Torah that way as well. It's not just here. And that's the word, and he kissed him. That's what that word means. And the dots are there to tell you what the Medrash explains, which is he actually wanted to bite him. He wanted to bite him in the neck. He wanted to kill him. And God turned his neck into marble, and so that he couldn't. So he kissed him. And he went to put his mouth on him, and he saw, my teeth aren't getting anywhere, so he kisses him. And they both cried. So it says, what did they cry about? Why are they crying? So Rashi talks about it, that they both cried. Vayishlach kisses him. Where does he say it here? It says that right here he quotes from Rabbi Hirsch that he cries, right, because he was also a descendant of Abraham and they had this relationship. But others say that Yaakov cries over all of the people in the future that he sees through prophecy, who Esau's children are going to destroy, either by conversion or killing them. And Esau cries, according to that, because he's not successful. Right? They both have prophetic visions. But it says that, when it says, you see, if you look closely at the words, how do I know that he tried to bite him? And they're not making it up. Because the word for neck here is spelled incorrectly. When it says he fell on his neck and he kisses him, the word for neck is written with the wrong grammar. And it's telling you as if he had two necks. He had one neck that was human and one that was marble. He didn't have two necks, of course, but God changed it. It says he changed it so his neck couldn't be bitten. And so that's how they get it from there. Then it says he raises his eyes. Now Esau looks up and he sees all the women and children, and he says, "Who are all these people to you?" And who are all these? Like last time Esau saw Yaakov, he was all by himself. Right? Who are all these people? So why does he say that? Because Esau knows when Yaakov stole his blessings, what blessings did he get? Everything was for the world to come. You're going to inherit the world to come. You're going to have a spiritual life. Your children will be as numerous as the stars. They'll lead the world to spirituality. Right? What was Esau's? You get the world. The physical world is yours. Right? That's what it was. So now Esau looks out and he sees that Yaakov's got the physical world. He's got my world. All his children, all these servants, all these animals. Hey, this is mine. Who are you to take this? Is all mine. You want the world to come, you got the world to come. Don't go stealing my world. Right? So Esau says, who are all these to you? So he says, the children whom God has graciously given your servant. That's what Yaakov says back. So, and then they start introducing themselves. The handmaids come forward and their children, and they bow down. And Leah comes forward with her children, and they bow down. And Joseph and Rachel come, and they bow down. The one person missing is Dinah, right? The one who was kidnapped. before the daughter of Jacob. Gets her back, and that's because Jacob was, well, she wasn't kidnapped yet, but Jacob is afraid that Esau's going to take her, and that he's going to see Dinah and he's going to take her as a wife. So he hides her in a box, it says, so that she shouldn't see her. And the Torah and the Medrash says, the Gemara says, that Yaakov is punished for this because he didn't realize that Dinah's strength, she could have changed Esau. That a good woman, can take the most evil man and change him. That's what the Torah is telling us here. And that Yaakov's punished because he thought that Esau would be stronger than Dinah. But Dinah, as a woman, has the ability to control her husband, and she can make him a better person. Because he didn't take that into consideration, he was punished for that later. So then he says, and he asks them, Esau asks, what did you intend by the whole camp that I met? And he says, to gain favor in my Lord's eyes. Yaakov tells Esau, all the stuff I gave you and all the things you've seen is just to make you happy. I'm only here to make you happy. Esau says, what are you giving me gifts for? I have plenty. Right? Who are you to give me stuff? Right? It's like, I go to Bill Gates and I bring him a gift. Like, what's with you? Right? He says, but Esau says, I have plenty, my brother. Let what you have remain yours. Don't take all. I'm not going to take all your animals and all your stuff and all your wagons that you sent ahead for me. I don't need to take your stuff. I have plenty. So Yaakov says, no, I beg of you. I have now found favor in your eyes. Right? You like me. Accept my tribute. Inasmuch as I've seen your face, which is like seeing the face of a divine being. And he's saying, I've met your angel. Right? I met the divine being. I met him last night. And you were appeased by me. Accept my gift, which was brought to you, inasmuch as God has been gracious to me, inasmuch as I have everything. He urged him and he accepted. You see the difference in what Yaakov and Esau says? Esau says, I got plenty. Yaakov says, I have everything. Right? We actually say this in the benching. When you say Birkat HaMazon, the section that says Ba Kol Mikol Kol at the end of the benching. There's a line in the benching that says, and it makes no sense. In the Birkat HaMazon, we say Ba Kol, in all, right? Ba Kol Mikol, from all, Kol, all, because each of our forefathers used those words. Here Yaakov says Kol, I have everything. What is this telling us? That for Esau, who had much more in the physical world than Yaakov, he says, I don't have everything, but I got a lot. Right? In other words, I want everything. I'm hungry for the physical world. I care about the physical world. I want to be a multi-billionaire. He says, okay, I'm a billionaire, but not a multi-billionaire. I've got plenty. Don't go bothering me with your puny stuff. I got plenty. Right? He tells him. But Yaakov says, I have everything. Now, Yaakov certainly has less than Esau, and he clearly doesn't have everything because he just gave Esau stuff. So Yaakov is telling us a lesson, that the rich person is the person who's happy with what he has. Right? Because a poor person is a person who's not happy because he doesn't have what he needs. So if you have what you need, you have reason to be happy. Right? You're rich. So here you see Yaakov is saying, I have everything. There's nothing I need. I have everything. So please take from me. Even when you take from me, I'll still have everything. Because that's not what's important to me. So Esau accepts it. He takes it. Because actually Esau wanted it. He was playing. It's like, somebody comes here and they bring you a gift. Oh, you didn't have to. You really didn't have to. Need to. Right? That's all he's doing. And he says, travel on and let us go. I'll proceed alongside you. So here now Esau decides he's going to become a partner with Yaakov. It's going to happen. Exactly what I said. Yaakov and Esau are going to be partners, and they're going to change the world together. So Esau says, let's go. I'm coming with you. Right? But he says to him, Yaakov says, my Lord knows that the children are tender and the nursing flocks and cattle are upon me. If we will be driven hard for a single day, all my flocks will die. Let my Lord go ahead of his servant. I'll make my way at a slow pace, according to the gate of the drove before me and the gate of my children, until I come to you at Sa'ir. Yaakov's selling him a bill of goods. He's not going to Sa'ir. He says, Esau might be feeling a little bit, homesick and a little bit happy because I gave him all this stuff, and he sees that I'm subservient to him, and I'm not going to fight him, and that he's the boss and I'm his servant. He says, but that's not going to last. Esau is Esau, and one day I'm going to wake up with his knife in my throat. I ain't going with him. So he tells us, and Esau says, come on, we'll go together. So he says, no, listen, it's too hard for me. I got little kids, I got women, I got animals. They can't go as fast as your 400 army men. And you got a military. I got a bunch of children. Right? So go ahead and I'll catch up to you. Right? That's what he says. Right? But we'll see as we go through the parsha, he never goes to Sawyer. He doesn't go. Esav says, okay. Esav says, let me assign to you some of my people who are with me. And he says to them, come on, I'll give you some of my army, and they'll make you go quicker. So he says, to what purpose? Why would you need to do? You don't have to do that. Let me just have favor in my Lord's eyes. Just be happy. He tells Esav, just, you see, there's no reason to be afraid of me. There's no reason to kill me. Just be my friend. That's what he says to him. So Esav started back on his way to Sawyer, but Jacob journeys to Sukkos, and he built himself a house, and for his livestock he made shelters. He therefore called the name of the place Sukkos. So that part of the story is finished. Esav leaves. Now Yaakov is going on his way to go back to where his parents are. Right? So he goes to a place that he calls Sukkos. And it tells you why. Why does he call it Sukkos? Because he built himself a house, and then he made a sukkah for his livestock. So he calls it sukkah. That's kind of a funny name, right? I have all of these people, and I have animals. So I build a house for my kids, my family, and then I build a barn for my animals, and I name the city Barn. Like, what a silly thing, you know? So the commentaries say that Yaakov was the first person in the history of the world to take care of animals. Up until this point, people left their animals outside. But Yaakov saw that animals need care. You have to take care of them. So he built them a place to stay, so they shouldn't be in the elements all the time. He had an interest in being kind to animals. Not to the point necessarily that we find people today who treat animals like humans, but Yaakov felt you have to treat an animal like an animal, not like a dead object. They have feelings. They feel pain. So he took care of them. And because of that, he named the city for the fact that he did it, because nobody in history has ever done that before. He named the city Sukkah because he built a sukkah for the animals. That was never done. And people built homes for their family before, but he wanted to send a lesson to the world. You have to take care of your animals.